Welcome, greetings, welcome back to another video. Today we will be reading chapter 5, Pentad, from the Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe. If this is your first video from this playlist, from this book, please make sure you go back and start at the very beginning of the playlist. Follow along with me as we read the introduction and the beginning chapters that go into the esoteric origins of all numbers and symbols, beginning with 0. So we've read so far 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So actually, right before I decided to sit down and record this video, I had an experience with numbers. And I really want to know, is it just me? Are you guys having experiences with numbers? So I was driving in the car, having a very, what I'll call poignant thought. And I was like, yes, that is something I'm going to do. That's something I'm going to do. Right. And like really inspired. And the minute I look, the car in front of me, the license plate is all threes. And I immediately thought about um, the video on triad, which I read, and I actually talked a lot about repeating numbers. And immediately after that, I look somewhere else and I see another car and it's triple sevens. And then at that point, I just kind of laugh to myself. But I'm like, can you say that that is a coincidence? Do you believe in coincidences? Um, so my immediate thoughts upon seeing the triple threes was, okay, we're giving birth to something. I'm giving birth to something. And then the sevens, I was like, I see the sevens a lot, but we haven't gotten to seven, so I haven't read the sevens. I don't have this level of insight for sevens yet, but I want to know, talk to me. Are you in communication with the world around you through numbers, or is it just me? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Am I overly excited? Um, but this is very interesting to me. So today we're going to read on Pentad, which is 5. And let's go ahead and get started. So let's share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and share sound just in case I need it. So one thing I noticed is that the really cool features that Zoom offers, if you guys were actually in the Zoom meeting with me, don't translate over. Um, it doesn't really transfer over to the recording. So I'm going to try a new layout today. And let me just click another button. And hopefully, yeah, we'll see how this layout turns out for the video. All right. So chapter 5, Pentad. Also, I just want to add in that I did try to go live again. So I'm probably going to need to reboot my apps and things that I use to stream live from Zoom because it's not working like it did 2 days ago. All right. So Pentad, regeneration. It is a frequent assertion of ours that the whole universe is manifestly completed and enclosed by the decad and seated by the monad. And it gains movement thanks to the dyad and life thanks to the pentad. Wow. Okay. So we're getting a preview into um, the numbers or symbols to come. Decad is 10, but Let me see if I can go ahead and look up the pronunciation. Decad. Okay, it's decad. Decad. Um, and you guys will notice that I will do that from time to time. And I'm actually going to go ahead now and play the pronunciation of that word because it really, really bugs me when I cannot, well, when I fear that I'm not pronouncing a word correctly. And actually that does not come up in the Webster dictionary. So that's interesting. Okay. So if you want to pause here and just look at all the quotes, read them. I'm not going to read all of them. There is a geometry of art as there is a geometry of life. And as the Greeks had guessed, they happen to be the same. We now arrive at the mathematical middle of our journey to 10 to dwell with the principles symbolized by the number 5, which the Greek philosophers called Pentad. Yeah. Beyond the monad's point, the dyad's line, the triad's surface, and the tetrad's three-dimensional volume, what remains? The pentad represents a new level of cosmic design, the introduction of life itself. We encounter the pentad in all expressions of fiveness, from our hand to the stars on flags. Geometrically, the pentad is born through the Vesica Pisces as the pentagon and pentagram, five-pointed star, as whirling spirals, and as a three-dimensional dodecahedron, the fifth of the 5 Platonic volumes, having 12 pentagonal faces. This last form has been known to philosophers as the quintessence, fifth being of nature, encompassing and infusing the 4 elements, solids, liquids, gases, and electronic fire, with the life they cannot create by themselves alone. Pentagonal symmetry is the supreme symbol of life, meaning, many living forms, plant, animal, and human, display the clear geometry of the pentad in their structure. The 4 elements supply the materials of their configuration, but the pentad carries the flag of life. We'll see how it links them with the mystery of the mathematical infinite. Excuse me. Which is the mystery of life itself, the ability to regenerate. The feeling of awe and sense of wonder arises from the recognition of the deep mystery that surrounds us everywhere, and this feeling deepens as our knowledge grows. On our way, we'll pass through fascinating historical topics known as the Fibonacci numbers and the golden mean for insight into the secrets of harmony and beauty, the accord of the parts with the whole. Harmony and beauty are essential part phenomena. Pentagonal symmetry has been long revered due to its profound insight into living nature and to the powerful psychological hold it has upon people throughout the world. It manifests itself in surprising ways and places in art, crafts, architecture, religion, magic ritual, national icons, and much else that is rooted deep within us. Enter these pages with a feeling of wonder at seeing the cosmic creating process reach its pinnacle of expression. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. From Albert Einstein. Seeing stars. It's of little use at first to try to understand the principles of the pentad by examining the way it shows up in universal sayings and mythology. Can we immediately grasp why the Chinese revere the 5 baits of happiness, or why David armed himself with 5 stones against Goliath? It's better to consider where we see it graphically as its geometric icon, the 5-pointed star. Think about where you see stars. All right. Perhaps in school, your teacher put a gold star on work well done. Worldwide, the star recurs as a symbol of excellence in rating systems. We speak of five-star hotels, films, plays, and restaurants. Actors and performers who excel achieve stardom and are referred to as movie stars, stars of stage and screen giving stellar performances. Critics are always looking for bright new stars rising on the horizon. The imagery is not limited to drama. Sports stars and rock stars are acclaimed by their starstruck fans. Superstar status is conferred on those especially esteemed. Unlike lunacy, which has a negative connotation, stardom conveys a deep-seated association with excellence and brilliance. The five-pointed star wells up spontaneously as a worldwide symbol from the deep archetypal level common to everyone. Have you ever wondered why the flags of over 60 nations include a five-pointed star? Flags affect people deeply. There must be something very powerful in the star icon if so many nations with conflicting ideologies each claim this same symbol as their own. One would expect each country to design its flag to be individual and unique. What is it they all vie for? Vexillologists? Okay, let's look this up. What in the world? Vexillo- Vexillology is the study of flags. Tells us that the appearance of star-spangled flags continues a ritual dating back millennia, when flags were seen as magical symbols of power and invulnerability. Everyone wants to be associated with excellence. The star's appeal emerges in the ceremonious respect accorded flags and five-part phenomena. We encounter the star pattern ceaselessly in commercial logos. Modern advertising agencies spend billions analyzing aesthetic preferences and have rediscovered the universal appeal of pentagonal symmetry. Something inside us clearly resonates with the fivefold form. Just look at the open embrace of a well-constructed pentagonal star and notice the feeling it evokes within you. The world recognizes and respects the five-pointed star for the same reason. It imparts to everyone an irresistible impression of excellence and power. From ancient times, the star has been a magical symbol of warding off evil in Babylon, Egypt, Greece, India, China, Africa, the Americas, and elsewhere. In literature, Goethe, Faust, drew a pentagram star to ward off the devil, but as it was constructed imperfectly, Mephistopheles, Mephistopheles was able to approach him. The magical association of this star continues today in military matters as a ranking system. Five-star generals, among those, for example, who meet at the Pentagon, the world's largest office building near Washington, D.C., along with excellence and power, the Pentagonal star induces a feeling of authority, further explaining its military presence and appearance on flags and in commercial logos. When the star is inverted, it's called a Drudenfuss, German for witch's foot, and appears in magical ritual and witchcraft. It has been associated with the devils and demons since the rebel Egyptian god Set resisted spiritual aspiration to become the adversary of his brother Osiris and nephew Horus. Set had many attributes associated with the modern image of a devil: horns, coarse red hair, hooves, a tail. He and his hordis resist truth, order, justice, and righteousness. His 52 attributes, his 42 attributes are actually symbols of the down-reaching elements of our own psyche that must be purified. The Egyptian underworld, the Duat, whose hieroglyph is a circle surrounded by a five-pointed star within a circle is the mythical nighttime place where the perishable stars go when they sink below the horizon at dusk. The duat recalls our own spiritual sleep from which we can awaken. The Egyptian star glyph without the circle signified either a nighttime star, a door, or a teaching, an intriguing combination of ideas in one glyph. The sun's inevitable birth into dawn and daylight, symbolizing our own spiritual arising, is resisted in the duat by hideous adversaries, illusions within us. In ancient Greece, the star was associated with Pan, all who also had horns, red star, red hair, hooves, and a tail representing the lustful fertility of nature, which induces panic and pandemonium, all the demons in prim people. Later, in Western culture, pansexuality became the great temptation of the modern devil, and the star was inverted to imply the reverse of and resistance to its positive qualities of excellence and goodness. Clearly, the pentagonal star has been a powerful psychological icon in the past and present, and undoubtedly will be so in the future. It conveys an impression of excellence, authority, and uprightness, and strikes us all with a power and strength that can only come from the deep level of archetypes within us. But exactly what is it about the five-pointed star and not other geometric shapes that appeals to us in this way? What is the source of this star's power and excellence? From where does the star derive its authority? What are the specific principles of the Pentad that touch us so deeply? What is the message of this star? The world is the world's oldest living star. Five-fold symmetry fills a special place in nature's design lexicon. The five-pointed star's association with excellence, power, and authority is manifested in nature as beautiful and efficiently designed forms. Pan's fertility was symbolized by the five-pointed star because the shape is a key to nature's fecundity, which is the ability to produce an abundance of offspring or new growth, fertility, and generative powers, providing the freshness, fullness, and fertility of life. The archetype of fiveness expresses itself as living forms and in the archetypes of living creatures. It was for this reason that the pentagram star was a symbol of humanity and health to the Pythagoreans, who wrote the name of the goddess Hygeia around its points. Pentagonal symmetry is the flag of life. When it appears in nature, we are seeing the archetype of the pentagon expressing life's excellence and authority. We can't help but encounter stars and pentagonal structure throughout nature. The overall design of any leaf fits within a stretched or compressed pentagon. Leaves have the same symmetry as hands. Look at any bush or tree and visualize its leaves as open hands, catching sunlight. Or look at the bottom of any familiar fruit to see the pentagonal remnant of its five-petaled flower. The flower of each edible fruit has five petals, though not all five-petaled flowers yield edible fruit. Before you eat an apple or pear, cut it in half at its equator to see the star pattern in which its seeds, the holders of life itself, are arranged. When we look at any leaf, flower, or fruit, we're seeing the invisible energy web of the archetype made visible as a pattern of living cells. We can gain insight into the pentad's excellence by geometrically constructing its representation, the pentagon. In this shape, its most elementary visual form, will discover special interrelationships that will help explain the power of the star and its archetype. The Roman numeral 5, representing 5, symbolized by the letter V, derives from the shape of the space between the open thumb and fingers. The Roman numeral for 10, the letter X, is actually 2 V's. Oh, wow. The human body clearly expresses the pentad symmetry in its 5 senses and 5 extensions from the torso, each limb ending in 5 fingers or toes. Wow. A pentagon is among the more complex constructions to be brought through the Vesica Pisces, but it needn't be difficult. Of the many ways to construct a pentagon, the simplest occurs every time we tie our shoelaces or a bow tie. The initial knot produces an internal good luck pentagon. Okay, sorry. Oh my goodness. The initial knot produces an internal good luck pentagon. To see it, tie a strip of paper into an ordinary knot. Tighten it carefully and press it flat as you gently pull. Hold it up to the light to see its inner pentagram star. Tie 5 such knots at regular intervals along a long strip of paper to make a pentagonal frame with a star at each corner. Another method is to start with a paper square representing the 4 states of matter. Fold and cut it as shown in the illustration to produce stars in positive and negative space. Construction using the geometer's 3 tools requires more complex steps than we experienced in constructing a triangle or square, as well as a deeper knowledge of the relationships within the Vesica Pisces. Few would discover it accidentally or by trial and error. The oldest construction on paper was taught by Euclid in his Elements, 300 BC, although much older Babylonian clay tablets describing the steps have been unearthed. Periodically throughout history, the construction of the pentagram has been so revered that it was kept secret by various societies who recognize its predominance in nature and its potent effect on human nature. They studied the Pentad's principles in geometry and nature and its psychological effect deeply enough to see its application, a knowledge that could be misused. Around 500 BC, the pentagram star was a sign used by advanced members of the Pythagorean society to recognize one another. And 1,000 years later, it was a guarded teaching tool only taught orally, not written about by the crafts guilds who infused its symbolism into the designs of Gothic cathedrals. It wasn't until 1509 when the monk Fra Luca Piccoli, inventor of double entry bookkeeping, and the mathematics teacher of Leonardo da Vinci, published De Divina Proportione, that the method of its construction and unique geometric properties was revealed to artists and philosophers in public. It's out in the open again. Use the geometer's tools and follow these steps to construct the pentagon and patterns that come from it. Some constructions of the pentagon you may come across are actually only approximate, although very close, but this method produces one that is perfectly proportioned. All right, so we have construct the pentagon, and then there are 6 steps listed here. So you start with a large Vesica Pisces. All right. And then you draw a line connecting the circle centers, and then a vertical line up the middle. Put the point of the compass where the lines cross. Okay. And open it to the center of one of the circles. Turn a circle within the Vesica Pisces as you do to construct the square. The pentagon represents the 5th essence, life itself, encompassing and interpenetrating the 4 states of matter. Wow. So we're going to highlight that quote. So you use that same compass opening, put its point at the center of the large circle, and turn another small circle, making a small Vesica Pisces. Oh, okay. Draw a vertical line up the small Vesica Pisces. Okay. Find its center where it crosses the line between the centers. Put the unmoving leg of your compass at the center of the small Vesica Pisces and open its pencil to the point atop the small circle within the large Vesica Pisces. Swing the compass downward until it crosses the horizontal diameter or complete the arcs of the full circle. Okay. Put the compass point atop the small circle and open the pencil to the point created on the circle's diameter. Swing the compass upward until it crosses the small circle. This new point and the point atop the circle are the pentagon's first two corners. We have organized monad by crystallizing the pentad within it. Wow. So then there's 3 more steps. I won't read those, but you can kind of glance over what's happening with a compass. And by the time we get to step 8, you have the 5 points to make the pentagon visible. And it says, welcome the emissary of living structures, the geometric flag of life itself. So then you connect alternating points to reveal the pentagram star. Okay, so line here, line there, line here, line there. Okay. A variety of pentagonal forms can be constructed by this method, each of which expresses the pentad's principles. Practice constructing them. Save one as a template for producing others quickly. So there we have it. We've got a pentagram and a star. We have a pentagon and we have a pentagram star within the Vesica Pisces. And then look at these different variations. All right, so then build a dodecahedron. The 5th Platonic volume is the dodecahedron, Greek for 2 + 10 faces. Like the 4 other volumes, it expresses the principle of equality in all directions. Having 12 identical regular pentagonal faces, 30 equal edges, and 20 vertices meeting at 3 corner joints, it is closest to the 5 forms to having the volume of the monad's perfect sphere. As quintessence, it isn't above the 4 elements, the configured states of matter, but encompasses them, infusing the force of life and excellence throughout the structures. Even non-living crystalline minerals take part in the cycles of life when they're ingested by plants, animals, and humans, thereby becoming incorporated into our bodies. Like the dodecahedron, life cycles encompass all the universe in its processes. Today we encounter dodecahedra, if at all, as those 12-month desk calendar paperweights and as special dice. The ancient mathematical philosophers revered the dodecahedron for its geometric properties and symbolism. Like a pomegranate ready to burst forth its seeds, the dodecahedron represents the archetype of life and fecundity, that's such a hard word for me, made visible. It's a 3-dimensional pentagonal web on which life expresses its fullness. All right, so actually I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get the pronunciation of that word. Because, okay.
Fecund.
Fecund.
Fecund. Fecundity.
Fecund.
Fecundity. fecundity,
fecund,
fecundity,
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 fecundity. Okay, fecundity. Such a mouthful. All right. The best way to appreciate a dodecahedron is to build one. Unlike triangles, squares, and hexagons and pentagons, I'm sorry. Unlike triangles, squares, and hexagons, pentagons cannot fill flat space without living gaps. But 12 pentagons will enclose three-dimensional space as a quintessence encloses the elements. Socrates said that from above, the earth looks like one of those 12 patched leathern balls. Wow. You mean like a soccer ball? Hmm. So then we have scientists have recently constructed dodecahedral molecules using carbon and various metal atoms that join to form larger molecules. Recently, a third form of pure carbon beyond graphite and diamond was discovered and formally named Beckman Sterfulerness or buckyballs, after the mathematician, archetype inventor, and visionary are Buckminster Fuller, who used similar shapes for his geodesic domes. A buckyball consists of 60 carbon atoms, 5 around each corner of a dodecahedron. All right. Holes in nature's fabrics. Avoid extremes. Keep the golden mean. Cleobulus of Lindus, 6th century BC, one of 7 wise men of ancient Greece. Nature expresses the cosmic philosophy through geometry. A deep look into the star's unique geometry will take us even closer to the core of the archetype of the Pentad. There, perhaps, we can discover the source of its power and the secret of its appearance in nature and its psychological effect on us. A clue is found in the ability of vegetation and certain creatures to regenerate another whole like themselves from a part, not only from their seeds. For example, when put near soil, the leaves of some plants send out roots and grow new plants, whole new plants. Flatworms and other creatures, when with primitive nervous systems, also regenerate new creatures from their parts. Most familiar is the ability of starfish to regrow a lost leg, while the lost leg grows a whole new body. Wow. Wait a minute. What? Okay, so a starfish can regrow a lost leg, and a lost leg can regrow a whole new body. That's funny to me. Wow. They caught me with the second part of that sentence. I mean, yeah, I can definitely see a starfish regrowing a lost leg, but the lost leg regrowing a body, like that's whoa. All right. We can see the principle of regeneration, the whole and the part in many places. The veins in a leaf reveal the branching pattern of the whole leafless tree. Each ridge of a fern's leaf models at once the whole leaf and the whole plant. Each seed on a dandelion's head mimics the whole head in miniature. Who hasn't noticed that the tips of broccoli and cauliflower resemble miniature trees? Look at the top of a full broccoli or cauliflower head while squinting, and you can see the overall pentagonal groupings. 5 major clumps contain constellations of smaller and smaller pentagonal structures. Each clump is made up of 5 smaller clumps and so on. This is the rhythm by which vegetation grows, a pulsing fivefold rhythm. Each successively smaller branch models the other and the wholes. Sorry, y'all. This whole in part principle is the basis of bonsai, the Japanese art of growing miniature trees and bushes from the branches of a large tree. As trees' leaves swirl around their twigs in the same pattern that twigs swirl around branches, as branches around the bows, as bows emerge from the trunk, each taken by itself is a model of the whole. The next time you can dwell with a bush, look for its structural self-symmetry. Distinguish each level and build your vision until you can see all the structure comprehended as the whole. Cognizance of its harmony in nature and mathematics attunes us to harmony at our own core. Today, we limit the word symmetry to mean a simple mirror image, such as our two hands. But the Greek word symmetria literally meant a like measure, a term perfectly suited to these expressions of self-similarity on different scales. This fascinating characteristics of living forms curiously corresponds with the geometric pattern of the pentagram to replicate for ever smaller and larger versions of itself. The star replicates and inverts itself in its own central pentagon, which in turn has its central pentagon in an endlessly diminishing series of inverting stars. Flip the central pentagram outward and it transforms at each of the star's 5 points into a whole pentagram. These become nuclei for smaller stars to replicate within in its center and around its points, multiplying endlessly. The pentad holds the principles of the geometry of regeneration. It is nature's way of producing endless variety using a single self-reproducing thing. Pentagons perpetuate their own image in endless detail. We are drawn into them as into the eyes of a lover, as we see the whole by looking at the part. Know one star and know the whole. This self-similar accord, repeating the same shape on different scales, is the basis of fractal mathematics, which is at the heart of modern chaos theory. For example, the microscopic bumps on a grain of sand at the seashore resemble an aerial view of the whole beach's shoreline. Each small part of a turbulent system turns out to be a model of the whole and can be described mathematically by self-replicating formulas. Even in chaos, we find the signature of cosmos. This part is whole occurs in the scientific art of producing holograms. Unlike ordinary photographic negatives, in which a piece from the corner holds only a small part of the picture, any piece cut from a hologram contains the information of the whole scene in miniature. Construct a pentagon or trace the 5 corners of any illustration and connect them to enclose a pentagram star. Then do these activities. Doodle pentagons and pentagrams. Explore pentagons on your own. Draw them freehand with each hand as a continuous line. Extend lines and connect points to see how the star regenerates itself endlessly into the smaller and larger models of the whole. The pentagram is extremely rich in endlessly fascinating self-replicating geometry that is accessible with a sharp pencil point. Discover its galaxies of stars, all identical in shape, differing only in size. Hmm. All right, so This is an exercise of exploring the regeneration of a pentagon. So that's what that is. And then it goes into discovering pentagonal self-symmetry in natural forms. Each life form below is enclosed within a pentagon. Use a straight edge to connect its five corners to inscribe a pentagram star. Further, decompose the pentagons and notice the remarkable detail with which the creature expresses its archetypal design and how each small part is structured as the whole. Some examples have been completed to different degrees to show you how it's done. Oh. Hmm. The rabbit riddle. It is worthwhile for anyone to have behind him a few generations of honest, hardworking ancestry. So I think we're going to put the bookmark here, and I'm actually going to split chapter 5 up into a few different parts. This is kind of a long chapter. I've been reading for a little less than an hour already, and we still have 37 pages. Which I know sometimes the pages aren't much, but still. So we're going to continue to dig into the Pentad. There's a lot here, and I see that the expressions are just growing. They're growing. They're getting more and more complex, I feel like, as the number increases. So that's really fascinating to me. So thank you for joining me. Be sure to like, be sure to comment what insights you're receiving, how you're inspired, and again, share this with someone. Um, Recommend this book and share this playlist with them. Thank you in advance. And until next time, be well.